How do you have your own conversation in progress? I'm Ed Kaine with Conversation in Progress. This is not just for me. This is for everyone to get out there and start doing this. So I'm going to answer the typical questions of who, what, when, where, how, and why. So the most easy one, or the most complicated, when you actually simplify it down, what is the nature of this thing? Why are we doing it? You are constantly in progress. I am constantly in progress. If I had a conversation with myself 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I know that person is a different person. They've had different experiences by now. And so me, today, Ed Kaine, at this age, has already gone through a lot. So the conversation, it's recognizing that I don't know everything. The things I'm learning today will add on to the things I've learned before and the things I learn in the future. So what is it? It's recognizing that we're going to progress, and that some of the purpose of this is that we are looking for kind of what is the future of human dignity, maybe on the broadest scale. So that involves those discussions about politics, philosophy, religion and philosophy, economy, things like that. What are we talking about in those conversations where you're not supposed to talk about it? What is it that is difficult to have these conversations? There's a lot of things that are going on, and we don't need to necessarily just be driven along the tide with this. We can help influence those conversations. So my own progress is being documented here, as well as kind of sharing a way for us all to do that. So that's the why. How do you have it? You either you have a friend and you're just talking and you're exploring. So one idea is you get fascinated, not frustrated, right? So how can so rather than asking yourself, why are people, or ask yourself, why are people still supporting Trump, rather than, how can, like some indignant question about what's going on. And yes, it can be all the horrible things that you think. It could be that, right? It could be some kind of mix of falling for propaganda, but truly it could be that some people follow along for the racist stuff. Some people follow along because they actually believe that he has some business ability, right? And that a business would be a good model for how you would run a government. So people can believe what they want, but then they can just see the failure, right? So the use of history and historicizing these arguments, finding the way they fit into there. This is an idea from Michael Brooks, who sadly passed away just a couple of days ago, and so that's affecting a lot of us who are talking about this. I did not know Michael other than from watching all of his content, or as much as I could, and having his book and reading that. And so historicizing versus mythologizing is one of his own ideas, or at least the one that, it came from him when I learned it. So mythologizing being like these thought experiments, and what if we just went to a full Socratic method, like what if all these things that never happened, versus trying to see how maybe a religion could be used to shape someone's reaction to oppression. So thinking of all those ways, get fascinated and get in there and try to figure out what's going on. What is it about this person? Now, it doesn't pay to go right to, oh, you're just blah, whatever, right? Because you can't label people, even yourself. If you were to talk, like I say, I know this for sure, that I am not the same person I was years ago. I know that I keep growing and I keep progressing. And so you are too, right? And so is the person you're talking with, and you might be able to help them off that ledge into a different way of thinking about it. And you may not, right? It's not really up to you whether someone decides that that's gonna be the be all and end all, or that they're gonna even devote any time to thinking about this at all. This brings us up to the when, right? Where you are, right? There's probably some appropriate times when it's not appropriate, right? Certain people don't want to talk about it, right? So if someone says, oh, I don't really want to talk about this, just believe them. They don't really need to talk about this. You're not necessarily out there to change minds. You're out there to learn and grow yourself. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this. Not because, you're going to solve everything. Suddenly, these people that don't believe me will start to believe me. No, you're just out there to learn and grow. There's a tendency for all of society to go towards to progress, but there are a lot of things, devious people. So this is the idea of this intellectual dark web, that there's people out there that are making these really bad arguments, and just putting them up there, and you're so overwhelmed with the big words they use, so that you start to get confused and you think, well, I got to go with that guy, right? Because I believe it. Now, I'll tell you this: when I was in my late teens, when I just before or just as I was starting to vote, there was this myth around. The myth was that Winston Churchill had said, if you aren't a liberal when you're young, you have no heart, and if you're not a conservative when you're older, you have no brain. Now, funny thing is, apparently Churchill didn't say this, right? Nor was Churchill a conservative at the end of his career, right? So if you go into the history of it, this stuff is nonsense. But if you were like me, I was kind of swept up in that. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to just skip right to the conservative part, right? Because I have a brain, right? So you get fooled by these, crazy arguments, and you want to put yourself, they want to give you the status, right? So they give you a little status. Oh, you have a big brain because you believe in Jordan Peterson. No. You have to take that information, try to run it through the sieve of your own experience, run it through that filter, and figure out what are good aspects of what these people are saying, and what are not good aspects of what these people are saying. What holds up to a historical interpretation? What holds up to just right now? What works right now? So that's a what of it. Where is obviously is it appropriate to talk? That's the when and the where. But who should you be having these with? Not necessarily with people you agree with. You should be out there and talking to people about whatever, when they bring it up, right? What if it's true? What if the thing that they're saying is true? Ask yourself that. What can I learn from this person? What about this works for them, right? So you get this opportunity to learn and grow. And if you keep on doing that, people are going to find you and want to talk with you. And really, that's the way it is. Now, there are certain lines that people shouldn't be able to cross with you also, right? You don't have to fall for everything. You can be fascinated by something and reject it, right? You can be discussing something that you don't agree with. You can say, okay, I can see where you are on that. I can see where this is. And then you can ask a question about that. Does that hold up to this or that? So let's go forward. Let's have these conversations in progress and see if you can't help nudge yourself along, right? That's the ultimate purpose. But if you can help other people to see this, there might be a little bit less anger out there about people with opposing views. There might be a little bit more understanding and something that we can work towards. All right. Well, thank you very much. If you like this, please click a like on there. Subscribe to the channel. We have a bunch of videos up about different topics of this topic, which will all fit together. So if you'll check those out, that'd be great. Thank you so much. I'm Ed Kaine for Conversation in Progress. Talk to you soon.